Hello everybody, it's Stefan Joubert here from the Stefan Joubert Guitar Academy. In today's video lesson, I'm going to speak to you specifically about using Pat Martino lines on the A dominant 7th and the D dominant 7th. So this is something you can use in a 12-bar blues. We're going to analyze it together, and it's a little tool for you to then be able to use to go and jam over a 12-bar blues. So let's just take a look at starting with the A13 actually. So got the chord there. So typically, you've got that. Someone might be playing a lick like that, maybe something like little blues lick, but it's nice to get a bit of maybe some chromaticism in there, like, or something like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at what Pat Martino line to use over the A13 or the 1 dominant 7th. It could be an A7th chord, it could be an A13 chord, it could be an A9 chord, it could be any chord really, any version of the A dominant 7th voices. And it's good to learn a few of them when you do practice your guitar playing. So let's take a look at what happens. So if we play an A13, the way Pat Martino works, if you want to play the minor line on a dominant 7th chord, is you got to go to the 5th. So play the A and up a 5th, you have an E. So it's going to be an E Pat Martino line. So I'll play the activity there. Let me play the chord first, and then I'll play the activity so you can hear it. It will be string group 2-5. Activity 3. That's the activity over the A dominant 7th chord. So basically, E minor lines over the A. Now, what is that going to give us? So let's look at this. Basically, if I play an A Mixolydian mode, I am basically playing an E Dorian. That's the 6th of the Dorian. But then if I play an E melodic minor line scale, which is also part of the Pat Martino, you see his lines will either be a Dorian based line or a melodic minor based line. Then I would get an A dominant 7th with a flat 5 or a sharp 11 if you like. It's that sound. And basically what it is, just to give you the lay of the land, it's a Mixolydian mode. Same as per usual. But instead of putting the 4th there, we put the sharp 4. It gives that sound. So that is why with a Pat Martino, you have two choices. You've got a line that would go like this. That line is an E minor line in the 3rd position, string group 2-5. And that line we have, let me analyze that for you from the perspective of E. Root, 5th, minor 3rd, major 7th. Very much a melodic minor line. In this case, we're playing it over the A7. So we're really going for that sound. There's the sound. That's the sound we're going for. So this line is a melodic minor based line. This line is much more Dorian based. Let me give you the degrees for the starting point. 9th, root, 5th, minor 3rd. From the perspective of E minor, let me talk to you from the perspective of the A dominant 7th. 13th, 5th, ninth flat seventh. That's why these minor lines are super powerful. We hit all the tension notes, so you got something like this going, and you play. You're basically outlining a dominant 13th. And here, you're actually outlining a dominant 13 sharp 11, if you like. So that sound is basically like this. You've got to get a 13 in there, so we can put a 13 there. Maybe we could do something like this. Yep, that's the sound. So the Pat Martino lines are super, super powerful because when you play an A Dorian, you get the Mixolydian Road. When you play the when you play the E Dorian, you get the A Mixolydian Road. When you play the E Melodic Minor, you get the A Lydian Dominant Road. So you can choose between the A Mixolydian and the A Lydian Dominant. Both scales are very similar, just a difference in one note. So when you improvise using the Pat Martino, you want to have that in mind. So when you play some lines there, let's say this line over here, so when you play some lines over these things, you want to keep that in mind, that you've got a Dorian or a melodic minor that will result in either a Mixolydian or a Lydian dominant sound. Now, Mixolydian, Lydian dominant, what it is Mixolydian or a Mixolydian with a sharp 4. Basically, very similar scales. So, got the chord going, playing the line. That's very much a Mixolydian sound. This line, again, Mixolydian sound. Again, Mixolydian sound. Most of Pat Martino's lines are the Dorian bass lines, and then he puts the odd melodic minor configuration in. Or this line. That's kind of a mixture because you hit that note, which is the sharp 11th. Okay, so as you can see, what we're talking about here is how to play over the one chord in an A blues. So you've got the A13, and then on that one chord, we then improvise. Either we play the E Dorian or the E melodic minor. By the way, if you feel these concepts are hard to take in and you want to have some help specifically on the Pat Martino lines, please look in the video. You can see a link there to my website. I do a free assessment lesson where we can meet and I can help you and take your guitar playing forward. So if you want to do that, please reach out and I would love to help you improve your guitar playing. So now let's go to the 4 chord, which is the D7 or D9. I'm going to play the D9 there. So on this D9, it will be the A, because the A is the 5th of D, the A Pat Martino line. That's activity 1. Activity 2 there. So it's A. The sound you would use there would be A, and you would use lines in A. And if we look at that line, I very much get that feel. There's really D13 sound. So the key is to be able to analyze what does the lines do in terms of the degrees on the underlying harmony. So there are quite a number of lines that we can use over this D chord. So if we play that D9 or D13, let's listen to how a few of those lines sound. So As you can see, the world is your oyster with these Pat Martino lines. So to make it simple for you, let's just talk about it one more time. When you've got the A7 or the 1-7, you find the fifth, which is an E. You play the E Pat Martino line. Then you go to the D, play the D chord. So playing the D9 chord there. What's the fifth of D? It's an A. Okay. So then play the Pat Martino. I'll do second position. Or first position. And what do we get? So if we play the D9 chord, go to the fifth, which is an A, and we play the Dorian. Let's just do that. I'm going to play Dorian. Very much the Mixolydian sound, okay? Now, I'm going to play the Melodic Minor. There's that sound. It's that Lydian Dominant sound that we all love. So we have two choices, either the Dorian and we get a mixed Lydian, or the Melodic Minor and we get a Lydian Dominant flavor. So that's it for playing over the blues on the 1 chord and over the 4 chord. I hope these concepts helps you. As always, if you want to do an assessment lesson, please look in the description below. Reach out to me and we can set up a first appointment. Thank you for taking your time and spending some of your time with me. I would love to help you go forward as well. And just take these ideas, try it, put a 12-bar blues on and jam with it. What I always recommend is just play the things in isolation very, very slowly at first. When you understand the concepts a bit, then put it backing on and jam and see what you get out of it. The Pat Martino book, Linear Expressions, is the way to go and to start. If you're young at guitar playing, this may be a bit advanced for you, so you might not want to start just here, but you could nevertheless get inspired by these concepts. So thank you so much for watching, and I will speak with you again in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.